everyone, and welcome to Philo for Thought, Young Professional Development Seminar. If you could please allow me to introduce our fabulous two moderators, Alexandra Leotopoulos and Andi Rustani. Alexandra, I'll pass you the mic.
Thank you, Chris. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 5th installment of our Young Professional Empowerment Seminar series. This will be our final installment for the fall semester, and more information will become available regarding spring seminars soon. If you missed any of our previous seminars, they are all uploaded to our YouTube channel, which can be found at the link that I will attach in the chat. For those new faces joining us today, my name is Alexandra Leotopoulos, and I am Programming Director at Philo for Thought, as well as President of the Ikaros Hellenic Club at CUNY Queens College. It is my pleasure to be able to co-moderate with Andi Rustani today. Andi is a pre-med student at CUNY Hunter College, a medical assistant at Lexington Medical Associates, as well as internship director at Philo for Thought. Thank you for joining me again, Andi.
Pleasure to be co-moderating with you today, Alexandra. Our previous seminar focused on the process of understanding and choosing unemployment and health benefits that best suit our needs and lifestyle. We had the pleasure of hearing presentations prepared by two elite HR and employment benefit specialists, Maggie Stavrianidis and Bruce Boucher. As mentioned earlier, it can be found on our YouTube. Today's seminar will feature three incredible speakers who will tackle topics relating to managing key college to career transitions. Terri Lynn Smith, founder of Giraffes Consulting, will discuss topics relating to current trends and tips to make a smooth transition from college to internships, graduate school, or the workforce. Sydney Weimer-Work, career coach at Flexjobs, will discuss topics relating to the increasing demands for jobs and the future for reliable, flexible jobs and online work opportunities. Dr. Nicole Papuano-Lugara, founder of Your Instructional Designer, will discuss the best way to present and format materials on your resume and professional profile on LinkedIn and similar recruitment platforms to help showcase your skills and strengths in a clear and effective manner.
Thank you, ladies, for joining us today. We look forward to each of your presentations. Before we get started with our seminar today, I'd like to announce two raffle opportunities that will be chosen at the end of today's seminar. The first raffle winner will win a ticket to the Mistletoe Gala Masquerade virtual gala on December 5th. This is a must-see event that includes guest appearances by His Eminence Archbishop Elpidophoros of America, Broadway star George Somas, Usias Johnny Livanos, Bobby Karunos, YouTube star Sotiri, Spartan Sounds DJs, and Yanni Papastefano and Orchestra. The second raffle winner will win a discount code for Mission Control's productivity course valued at $299. Mission Control provides a comprehensive perspective and accompanying tools and practices that help individuals, work groups, and executives reshape how they see their work, resulting in a new domain of organizational performance. You can enter that raffle that will be announced later at the following link that I will attach in the chat. Now we welcome Terri Lynn, who will focus on transitioning to the workforce.
Terri Lynn Smith is often called the employment whisperer. She helps people who are employed, unemployed, bored in their career, and recent college graduates face their fears and find a position with purpose. After 30 years as a human resources executive, the company that she worked for merged with another, and she found herself laid off. It was at this time that she decided that coaching would be her next chapter. She believes that when change happens, you have to take control to be successful. She enrolled in the Georgetown University Leadership and Coaching Program and received an ICF certificate in coaching. Although she started her life as a life coach, she discovered that 90% of her clients were unemployed. So she narrowed her focus to career coaching. She is the founding president of Giraffes Consulting, where her clients are at all levels of professional development, including recent college graduates. To help college graduates be better prepared for their transition into the workforce, she volunteers as a leadership coach and mentor for Braven, a nonprofit organization, whose focus is on preparing students for the transition into the workplace. Thank you for joining us today, Terri Lynn.
Well, it's my pleasure. Gee, I forgot that the introduction was going to be as similar to what I was going to introduce myself. I think you did it much better than I did as well. My company is named Giraffes Consulting. Why? It's the number one question I get, and it starts any conversation. I fell in love with the giraffe when I was on a trip to South Africa. When I think of the giraffe, it makes me smile, feel positive. So I named my company Giraffes Consulting. As I continued to study the giraffe, I realized that they demonstrated the behaviors of success. They lean forward with confidence. They're flexible and they have a treetop vision. That was a hidden gift. My goal now is to bring out the inner giraffe in all of my clients. It's a challenge to find your first professional position, but not impossible. With courage and a plan, you can accomplish anything. Working with recent college graduates, I did discover the transition into the workforce can be difficult. Here are some questions you should ask yourself before you launch a job search. What do you love to do? What are you good at? What do you hate to do? What's your passion or purpose? What skills, knowledge, and experience do you have? What positions, career path does your degree program prepare you for? A great exercise to help you identify the types of positions that are a good fit for you is to create an 80-20-0 chart. Over a period of a few days, create the chart that identifies one column that says what you love to do. Another column will say what you will do. And the third column is what you hate to do. Using this chart, you can evaluate job descriptions. 80% of what you will be doing should be what you love to do. 20% should be what you will do, and 0% is what you won't do. Another question, what are transferable skills and what transferable skills do you have? Transferable skills are portable skills that are used across industries. Think about classes and activities you've participated in during your college career. Such committees that you've served on, your capstone experience, or internships and fellowships that you've had. What skills did you develop and use in those activities? For example, leadership, teamwork, project management, and problem solving and communication. Today, the 5 transferable skills that companies are looking for are 1, adaptability and flexibility, 2, communication, 3, critical thinking and problem solving, 4, collaboration and teamwork, and 5, time management. Okay, are you ready to face your fears, create a plan, and land the job you want? Next slide. To start, you need to create 4 tools that are necessary for a job search. They are a powerful resume, a compelling LinkedIn profile, an engaged network, and interview strategies and practice. With these tools, you'll be prepared to compete in any job market. Don't focus on the unemployment numbers. You can't change them. Focus on what you can do and what you uniquely bring to the workforce. After you've developed these tools, you'll be reminded of the added value you bring to a company, and you'll gain the confidence that you can be an ideal candidate for any position that you apply to. Next slide. Let's first look at the components of a resume. The resume tells your story. This is the basic format for a resume. Recent college graduates may consider putting your educational information first. It's actually your most recent position. The job description is your golden ticket. It describes the job, the skills needed, duties, and responsibilities. This information will guide you when you're writing your resume. One resume and done is not true. You need to edit or customize your basic resume for each position that you apply for. Use the words from the job description in your resume and cover letter to ensure that you capture the search words that the companies use in their applicant tracking system. Use the PAR formula. What is the problem? What action did you take? And what were the results? This will give you a concise, short, powerful impact statement that describes the responsibilities of your current and past positions. Impact statements not only help the hiring manager connect the dots by demonstrating what you have done and what you can do, they also make your resume concise, descriptive, and powerful. A recruiter may spend 35 seconds reading your resume. You want to catch their attention. Nicole, in her presentation, is going to provide additional information and direction on resumes. Next slide. The cover letter. It's an opportunity, another opportunity to impress the hiring manager. Like the resume, you will use the language from the job description in your cover letter. You'll introduce yourself, your name, and an edited version of your professional summary from your resume. You'll restate the name of the position that you're applying for. Briefly state why you're interested in the position and what makes you an ideal candidate, a good fit. List individually 3 major job duties of the position. Underneath each job duty, I want you to write impact statements that demonstrate your past experience and ability and success related to each duty. Hiring managers get excited when they discover that you can hit the ground running. Closing paragraphs should be strong, confident, and direct. For example, I welcome the opportunity to meet with you to learn more about this exciting opportunity and discuss how I can add value and contribute to the success of the team and the organization. The next steps paragraph should also be strong and give direction. For example, I look forward to hearing from you and pursuing the next steps in the hiring process. As you can see, you're kind of taking charge without being disrespectful, but that you're confident and that you will be part of their process. The format is really important. Plenty of white space makes it easier to read. Use bullet points instead of paragraphs. Bold the job duty that you are going to be highlighting. And it should be no longer than 3/4 of a page. Primarily because that's usually the time and extent that people will give to the cover letter. So you want what you have to say to be powerful and you want it read. Okay, next slide. Whoops. LinkedIn profile. Here are the components of a LinkedIn profile. LinkedIn, it's a great marketing and branding platform. Millions of people are on it for more reasons than just a job search. It's open 24/7. It's an important that your profile represents you as you would if you were talking to somebody in person. People are searching LinkedIn for people to connect, to build their networks. Recruiters, between 70 and 85%, use LinkedIn to find candidates for their open positions. Hiring managers use LinkedIn to learn more about a candidate before an interview. Nicole will also be providing more information on writing a compelling LinkedIn profile in her presentation. I'm her opening act. Next slide. Networking. Why? In my experience, more than 70% of people find their new position networking. How? Reach out and connect with everybody you know, your classmates, your professors, the alumni. Use LinkedIn for targeted searches for people in the industry you're interested in, or for people who are doing the position or working in the position that you're looking for, and people who have similar interests as you do. You never know who's in everyone else's network that might be valuable for you to meet. Networking is about building and nurturing relationships and finding ways to support each other. Networking is built on the giver's gain philosophy. One way you can support network contacts is introduce them to others in your network who might be helpful to them. Whenever you post on LinkedIn, your contacts are motivated, yet are also, it's another way to stay connected. When should you network? You always should be networking. And track. Create an Excel spreadsheet and list all of your connections and their contact information. Use a spreadsheet to track all interactions you have with each contact. It will help you to stay current and meaningfully connected to everyone in your network. Next slide. Interview strategies. This is a fun one. Align your experience with your job description. The individual duties and responsibilities of the job can be turned into questions. Use the job description to give you insight into possible questions you may be asked so that you can prepare. Some of the questions may be situational questions. For example, they may say, here's an issue that you will find in this position. How would you handle it? Or they may ask you a behavioral question. For example, describe a project that you're most proud of and why. All of these questions are to find more about who you are and what you can do and how you function in the world. Use your impact statements and storytelling to highlight your knowledge, skills, and experience. Be concise. Everybody loves a good story and will listen to the end to find out how it works. Before the interview, identify 5 points that you want to make during the interview. If the points aren't covered in the interview, you can mention them at the end when the interviewer always asks, do you have anything else you'd like to add? This gives you a chance to ensure all of the information that you wanted the interviewer to have about you and your ability, that they receive it. Now you feel in control of that conversation and that interview. You'll be asked if you have any questions. Prepare job-related questions that you would like to ask. Remember, after all, an interview should be a conversation, not an interrogation. For example, you could ask, what are your expectations for this position? Or, how will this position be evaluated over the next 6 months? Both of these questions show your desire to be successful in the position. Practice out loud. Give your friends questions you think you may be asked and ask them to interview you. Do a realistic run through of the interview. The more you practice, the more concise your responses will be. It would be more realistic practice if you did the interview over Zoom or the platform that you will actually be interviewed on. Develop your video presence. Learn how to use the platform that the interview will be using. Lighting should come from behind your computer, not behind your head. Natural lighting is always the best. Your head should be in the center of the screen. You make eye contact by looking at your camera and not the person. Check your background. Keep it simple so it's not distracting. Make sure that there won't be any interruptions or noise. Now, I know in a New York City apartment, that could be difficult and unpredictable. Consider standing for the interview. Psychologically, it's a more powerful position. And dress as if you would dress in an in-person interview. And before the interview starts, create a plan with the interviewer on how to handle any internet interruptions. This will give you a calmness should that happen, that you'll know exactly what to do and not panic. You're going to know you're prepared for an interview when you're excited and you can't wait to have it happen. Next slide. The plan, the components of a job search plan. With courage and a plan, you can accomplish anything. Write a goals and subject statement for your job search. Create a self-directed contract. Looking for a job is a full-time job. Determine the number of hours each week you'll be able to spend on your job search. Divide your job search hours into 3 categories: looking and applying for work, networking, and industry research. 30% of your time should be spent on looking for and applying for positions. 60% on all aspects of networking. Remember I said 70% of people find jobs through what? Networking. And 10% on exploring the websites of companies you'd like to work for. On Monday, schedule a plan for your time for each of the above categories for the week. Set goals for each category. Friday evening, review and evaluate the results of the week. Did you meet your goals? What worked? What didn't work? What did you learn? And what will you do differently next week? This whole self-directed contract really keeps you in the moment, focused, and successful. Journals. Create a daily practice of journaling. You're journaling your thoughts and your feelings. What are you most grateful for? What brought you joy? What are your strengths? What were issues of the day, and what are possible solutions? What challenges are ahead, and how are you going to face them head on? These are just some of the questions that can help you get started in your journaling practice. Do not judge, edit, or omit facts or feelings. You're the only one who's going to be reading your journal. Unloading your thoughts helps you to keep them in perspective and gives you an opportunity to explore possibilities and solutions. Plus, you're going to get a better night's sleep. You'll see and be able to track trends, actions, and your growth. And you'll also have an opportunity to recognize your achievements. Mindset, reframing negative thoughts. It's totally within our control to reframe stressful moments and into positive ones. The power of positive thinking actually reduces stress and anxiety and boosts your can-do spirit. Breathe. Breathing techniques work. They reduce your heart rate. They relax you and allows you to be present where you have control and where the best work gets done. Thinking about the past and worrying about the future isn't very helpful. Try the box breathing technique. Breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, breathe out for 4 counts, and hold for 4 counts. You can use this exercise anywhere, anytime that you feel anxious. And don't forget to celebrate all the big and small successes. Okay. Now you have the tools and a plan. You have renewed your confidence. Start applying. Be resilient. Be persistent. Be prepared that you may have to apply to possibly 200 positions. It sounds like a lot. Knowing this reality should keep you from being surprised or discouraged. It is a numbers game. Here are the stats. From 200 applications that you submit, you may receive 10 to 20 callbacks for a phone interview. And you may receive 5 to 8 actual interviews from the phone interviews. But remember, it only takes 1 interview to land the job you want. I hope this information will empower you on your job search. Any questions?
So Terri, Lynn, thank you for that informative presentation. We'll actually be saving the questions for the end. We'll have a little
Perfect.
Q&A.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're going to move on to the next presentation, which will be from Nicole. Welcome, Nicole.
Hello.
Sorry about that. So Dr. Nicole Papianu Lugara is an instructional design consultant and the owner of Your Instructional Designer, as well as its related learning network, the Upskill Experience. She delivers performance-focused workplace learning solutions to clients ranging from global enterprise organizations to solo entrepreneurs in a wide variety of industries. She also provides professional development for developing instructional designers. In her line of work, Nicole has been responsible for hiring team members and helping clients to hire and train new employees. Through these experiences, she's developed the skills to craft a professional presence that attracts the right kind of attention. Welcome, Nicole. Thank you for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be with you all. So admittedly, there's a lot of slides, Alexandra, so I may be saying next a lot.
Let me just send, actually, Nicole has a workbook that we will be using for her presentation. So let me just send that in the chat first, and then we'll get started. 1 minute, sorry about that. All right, whenever you're ready, sorry.
Sure, thanks. Okay, so first of all, Terri, that was awesome. And I feel like I learned a few things that maybe I wish I knew or might use in the future if I ever decide I want to be somebody's employee again. So that was awesome.
Thank you.
Goal is to take everybody just a little deeper into some of the things that Terri was talking about because they're really important to your job search. So let's go right ahead and get started. Next slide. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to figure out what an employer really wants and how to stand out from the crowd. And we're going to focus on just 3 simple steps to do that. So go ahead, next slide. Okay, and Alexandra already gave me a lovely introduction, so I'm just going to skip the whole thing. Yeah. But what I want you to do for a second is put on your imagination hat, right? It could be, if you're like a Harry Potter fan, maybe it's a sorting hat. I don't know what it looks like, but just imagine for a second what it would feel like if, next slide, you landed the dream job and you were doing exactly the kind of work you wanted to be doing. So I would love, if you're watching, for you to chat in for me and tell me what that would look like for you. So full disclosure for me, I feel like I finally got to the place where I have the dream job, but it's always evolving. So I would love to know, what's the dream job for you, or what would it be like if you had the dream job, even if you don't know what that job is yet? Nobody believes me. You could totally use the chat box.
I mean, I think for me, I would love to do anything that has to do with traveling.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. Traveling sounds amazing when we're allowed to do it again.
For me, it would have to be working in a museum setting for artifact conservation and restoration. So I was lucky enough to travel overseas to Italy twice, work with artifacts from ancient Rome and Etruscan era a few summers ago. And I would love to go back to be able to actually work over in Rome with the Vatican, possibly with any other major museum system for it.
That sounds incredible. I'm ready to hire you already.
Uh, well, the main reason I signed on for this is because I'm actually in that transition period from finishing up college. I just finished my bachelor's degree, and I'm in that kind of that weird transition period between finishing your bachelor's and either going to grad school or going out into the workforce right now. So it's people say it's terrifying, but they don't truly explain how terrifying it is until you're actually in that position.
It is, it's scary. So what I want you to do is just write that goal, that dream down on a Post-it somewhere and just put it in front of you, because it's the thing you're going to work towards every day. It's the jobs you're going to look for. Even if it's not the exact job, you're going to line up opportunities that are going to lead you there. So, like I said, I was there. I mean, I literally told my parents, well, if I don't get into grad school, I'm running away to Greece to teach English. So totally understand. Obviously I went on to school, so I didn't get to travel. But so today we're going to talk about just these 3 things you can do to get yourself started working towards being the conservationist of your dreams or getting the travel job of your dreams. And hopefully, you know, when you guys are a year out from now, you'll be checking back and saying, hey, Nicole, I am totally rocking the dream job. So we're going to start with the job description, talking about, you know, how to make use of that. We're going to talk about what businesses really need. They'll tell you all kinds of things, but these are really the things they need. And then we'll talk a little bit about how to stand out on LinkedIn. Okay, so next slide. All right, so if you don't know where to start, you're in good company, don't worry. And we are going to start with the job description. So like I said, I was a hiring manager formally for quite some time, and there's a few things that I've learned about the best candidates, at least according to their resumes and cover letters, from being in that position. And that's first, they speak to the specific job. So they're not just talking about like what in general they bring to the table, but they're actually showing me that they know the exact things it takes to do this job successfully and how they can be part of my company culture. So make sure you're reading not only the job description, but you're on the company website and you go and you find their mission and their values and you speak back to them. The other thing they do, and this is like marketing 101. So if you're a marketing person, you may have heard features over benefits, but they tell me the things that they are going to do for me rather than the tasks they can complete. And then the third one is that they make it really easy for me to get the story. So it might be the visual design of the resume that, you know, I can easily just say, oh, this is their professional experience. This is their teaching experience. This is their volunteer experience. But it can also be just how they write their sentences. And, you know, Terri Lynn was talking about before having these really short, impactful statements, and that's part of it. So the next slide. Okay, so this really long job description, I'm going to let you take a minute to read. This is the opening line for a marketing associate position. So just take like 30 seconds to read that to yourself. Okay. Now, I'm not sure who in this group wants to be a marketing associate, but I think the thing about marketing is that these skills translate into a lot of other different jobs. This is not my job, but I do marketing all the time because I have to talk to clients and sell my services. So that's why I picked this one. But let's move to the next slide and see what the actual responsibilities look like. First of all, this job has a whole lot of responsibilities. And so again, I'll just let you take a minute to read them to yourself. And what I want you to think about as you're reading it is what stands out to you. What would you start thinking about as you're starting to go to your resume? Okay, so go ahead and in the chat box, type maybe 1 or 2 things that really stand out to you, like what you think absolutely would have to be in your resume to apply to this job. So there's that little thought bubble looking icon at the bottom of your screen. Go ahead and chat me in at least one thing. What do you think you would need to have in your resume? Work collaboratively. Yes, that is definitely something I see when I look at this. I think there's more than that though. One more, give me one more and we'll move to the next slide. Manages, adaptability. Okay, yeah, that's really good. So, you took 30 seconds and you figured out some of the really big asks. So let's go to the next slide. And these are the things that I would be looking at. Like, this is where my eye goes immediately. And these are the keywords, right? I saw collaborative in there twice. I saw create, manage, identify new opportunities. Yes, there were all kinds of tasks under that, but those were the big action items that they want this person to be able to take care of. Then they have analytical and data-driven. That's everything in this job description read to me as research, data, metrics, records, results, monitor, report. So to me, the two things I want to show when I go to write my resume, or I go to write my cover letter, or I slightly tweak my LinkedIn profile, we'll get there later, would be to show that I am a team leader and to show that I am analytical and data-driven. And so this is in that workbook if you want to see it later. Okay, we can go to the next slide. So again, these are the requirements. And what I kind of say about the requirements is, even though they usually say they're requirements, they're actually like the wish list. They're like the extra things. But in this case, my brain just goes to two of them, right? That they want someone who has excellent computer skills because they talk in many ways about technologies and social media platforms and computer skills. And then the other thing that my eye goes to is fast-paced environment, which sometimes is code for like, we don't have processes for everything and we change everything at the last second. So if you're good at being adaptive, right, we use that word, then I would definitely say you want to show that you are adaptable. But if you don't like working in that kind of an environment, then this job is probably not for you. And the flip side of that is, if you think fast-paced is good, but no processes is not, then you want to be asking those questions during your job interview if you make it to the next round. So those are just things that like my eye starts to pick up when I look at the job description. And that's sort of what you want to do, go through it with a highlighter, find like the 2 or 3 big things they're really asking for, and then the 2 or 3 maybe like supporting things they're asking for, and start tailoring your resume to those things specifically, right? I don't really care if you spend a summer working with children for this interview if you can't tell me how that proves you are data-driven, a team leader, or really good at computer skills, or in a fast-paced environment. Doesn't mean it doesn't work, it just means you have to make it fit the narrative. So next slide. So I have 2 different bullet points here. These would go under your work experience, right? That big chunk of your resume. And I'm just wondering, which one would you put on your resume if you were applying to the job we just looked at? I should have just made this a poll. Yeah, definitely, right? Number 2. And for me, as a hiring manager, I would absolutely pick the second one. And it's not just because it sounds fancier, but it's very easy for me to say, oh, here's the measurement of success. So I can easily say, okay, there's 30, I can picture 30. There's 210% growth. My head can start picturing it. Whereas the first one, I can't really see it. I don't really know what you were doing. And so helping them create that picture is a really important part of being able to get their attention. Also, the funny thing I want to say is that 210% growth sounds really impressive, but that could be from like one person to like, I don't know, 1 plus a sometimes reader. You don't know, but you can, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing not legitimate about saying 210%. It was 210%. So you can pick the numbers that sort of tell your story best. Yes, and so these are the 3 keys, right? You want to show and not just tell. Telling is vague words like worked for, helped, was responsible for. Showing gives me the results or helps me see what you were actually doing. So these are the 3 things I like to put in. One is specific numbers. So if you you worked on 600 artifact restorations, I'm making stuff up, that would be a great number to put in there. If you led tours for over 3,000 people because you were a travel guide, right? That's a good number to give me instead of just saying, I took people around, well, we'll just go with Rome since we were talking about that before. Percentages, we already covered how that one works. And then specific examples or case studies. So if you can't quantify something, right, you can't put it into a number, giving a very specific example or instance is really powerful too. So if you led a team to success on a very specific project, then talk about that specific project, not just the job in vague general terms. Okay, next slide. So your work experience, again, that's that big chunk in the middle. These are the things you sort of want to do on everyone. And again, Terri kind of talked about it, but really, I don't need an entire like CV. You know, if you're applying for a professor job, you might put every single class you've ever taught, every single job you've ever had, your kindergarten teacher's name, maybe you would do that. I don't know. But for a first time out the gate, undergrad to graduate role or undergraduate to entry level role, I really don't think you need more than three of your most recent roles. If it was something really influential that you did in high school, that's great. If you have had many work experiences since then, including internships and real positions, then I wouldn't even go back to what you did in high school. I would stick to the three most recent. And again, think about the job. So these rules could go out the window if the job seems applicable to the experience you have, or reverse, the experience you have seems applicable to the job. Each one, I usually say 3 to 5 bullet points is enough. If you have like 20 bullet points, I'm not going to read them all, to be honest. I'm probably going to scan them really quick. I'll focus on the first 2 and maybe like the last one, and then I'm moving on to the next one. I'm literally just, whoop, that's how a hiring manager reads your resume. I hate to say it, but it's true. Make sure you have the exact name of the company and the role, because if someone's really interested in you, they might go start researching you, and you don't want them to think, 1, that you fibbed and made up a role that you didn't have. And 2, you just want them to be able to see, especially if you've had a good relationship with that company, you want them to be able to see what kind of a company it was and get the information they need. So don't make it up. Definitely don't make it up. But if you can be precise, please be precise. And then the last one is your dates of employment. So you don't need to give like the exact starting date. You just need to have your month and your year, or you can put to present, you know, if it hasn't ended yet, if you're still working there. So that's real basic stuff. I don't want to spend too much time on that because I feel like that's something you can Google and it comes up quickly. So the other thing I wanted to say is that there are some extras, right? So we might have specialized skills and expertise. And the thing I wanted to focus on here is just that as you're writing your resume, remember we looked back at those job requirements, and there was like special technology skills and things like that. Those are the kind of skills you want to put in your resume. So if you're applying to a marketing job and you have experience using Google Analytics or HubSpot or something of that nature, Photoshop maybe, that you really want to say in your resume. If you have experience using Microsoft Office and the job doesn't specifically say, for whatever reason, Microsoft Office, I think in 2020, it's common expectation that you know Microsoft Office. Like, don't put everything under there. Put the things that will help you get the job under there. And the same thing with leadership and volunteering. I actually think if you volunteered, it's great, and you could probably just put it down. I can't think of any reasons not to. But, you know, if you had those things, they show that you take initiative. They show that you care about more than yourself. They show that you're a team player. And so that's always good to throw on your resume as well. I don't abide by the 1-page resume rule. My resume is pretty long because I have many years of experience in teaching in universities and then many years of experience doing workplace learning. So my resume is 2 pages. But I want you to think about whether you're just putting things on your resume to have fluff or if they're meaningful. And I would never go over 2 pages. Nobody's going to read more than 2 pages. I'm just going to tell you now. Okay, so the second part of this all is that regardless of what is in the job description, there are a few things that all businesses need. So we can go to the next slide. And if you guys grab your workbook, I think we have enough time for this. You can at least check it out. There's a job, top 14 job skills page. And basically it's a skills inventory. You can see which ones you feel like you have, which ones you feel like you still need to work on, and sort of rank yourself. And the ones you have, you can definitely highlight in your resume. The ones you don't have, there's nothing wrong with that. They're just things to build towards and to be aware that people want. So for the sake of time, I'm not going to make everyone do it now. I just want you to be aware that it's in there for you to use when we get off our meeting today. So next slide. Okay, so these are regardless of those 14 job skills, which are everything from like loyalty to team building and things like that. These are the 3 things every business needs. And it's an ugly acronym because it sounds like racist, but you will never forget it. IRSIS. It's increased revenue, avoiding costs, and of course, translating to PowerPoint, move my words around, but improved service. It shouldn't be improv e-service. So no matter what you're doing, whether you are a professor in a classroom, whether you are a tour guide, whether you are a junior analyst, it doesn't matter. These are the 3 things the business needs and what they want you to do. So as you're writing your resume, keep these in the back of your mind. As you're going into your job interview, keep these in the back of your mind. As you're writing your LinkedIn profile, keep these in the back of your mind. If you can find ways that you can help this company increase their revenue, maybe it's because you'll grow their social media following. Maybe it's because you will be able to get them more sales. Let them know, right? If you have ways to avoid cost, I can streamline systems like nobody's business. I'm really good at organizing archives. Let them know. Improve service. My customer service skills are second to none, right? You will have people raving, giving awesome reviews on your website. Well, let them know, because those are the things that they really want, and they're going to trigger really positive thoughts about your application. Okay, so next slide. So far we've covered really quickly the resume, right? So how to read it, how to think about those keywords, the bigger business goals that they never say in the resume, in the job description, but are always there. And so the last thing is getting online and branding yourself. When I was applying right out of college and then ended up going to grad school, but when I was first looking, people were looking at people's Facebooks. And that wasn't particularly wonderful, because when Facebook came out, it was only for college students. So you can imagine the kind of content people my age had on their Facebooks at the time, and then their employers were looking at it. It was horrendous. Luckily, now we've sort of focused down. Most employers, you might have some people who are a little overbearing, but most of them just care about your LinkedIn profile, right? That's the professional network. That's where they think you're going to tell them what they want to hear about who you are as a professional. And so you definitely, if you aren't on LinkedIn, just get on it. I'm not even going to give you an option. Go get on it right now, today, make a profile. So we can go to the next slide. So being on any social media platform, even though we don't maybe like to think about it this way, is really a branding experience. It's building your personal brand. And for LinkedIn in particular, it's really thinking about how you want to curate your professional identity. So what parts of yourself do you want to pick? What parts of yourself do you want to highlight? It's not the place to just tell like everything about everything, right? So I really want you to think, as you go into LinkedIn, who are you? Next slide. And that starts with a picture, as silly as it is. So these are 4 pictures, and I'm just going to ask you which one you would have picked if you needed to make a LinkedIn profile. So you can go ahead and put that in the chat box. A, B, C, or D. Yeah, that's kind of what I expected. So I've used A, B, and actually I've probably used them all. I've used them all in my professional branding, believe it or not. C is the one I have on my LinkedIn profile. And because I often come across as younger than I am, which is, not, some people think it's a good thing. For me, it's been difficult because I enter a lot of really male dominated spaces in my work. I've worked with a lot of aviation and stuff like that. And so by giving a professional headshot, what I thought it said is I invested in myself. And usually if you're investing money in yourself, it means that you're a little further ahead on the professional curve. So I thought very carefully about picking that image. Right now, there's a trend to just show where you are in your workspace, which for me is like me and my tree over here. But I'm still not choosing to change mine because I know I always have to combat the, oh, she's young, she's inexperienced hurdle. even though once they talk to me, we get over that hurdle. A and B are more just for like the upskill experience. People want to get to know me. They're a little more inviting. Now, D, I would normally say don't use on your LinkedIn profile, but there is a caveat, which is if you are trying to become part of an outdoor brand or an adventure brand, then it might be the right one. So you want to think about who you want to attract, and that's how you're going to pick your profile picture. Okay, so next slide. This is the most important thing. Nothing else I even said in this presentation matters if you remember this one question. What do you want potential employers to say about you? Right? When they read your resume, when they get to your LinkedIn profile, what is it you want them to say about you? And if you write those things down, I think that's really going to help guide you towards where you want to be. And again, it's a process of editing yourself. You are amazing. You have a wide range of experiences, whether they're work experiences or not, but you can't tell them all. You have to tell the ones that highlight what you want them to be saying about you and will help you get on their radar, right? So it's a little bit of an editing process. Okay, so next step. I'm gonna, again, skip this, but there is in the workbook a space that you can actually write these things out. And I think it's really helpful. So has anyone ever heard of an elevator pitch? Just like give me it. You can just raise your hand. I can see your faces. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this is like your 30 seconds, right? You're in the elevator with the CEO of the company you want to be working for. And these are the 4 things you have to get out in like the time between floor 1 and floor 5. So who are you as a professional? These are the things I want in your LinkedIn profile. Who are you as a professional? Who do you want to be working with? Who are your dream clients? Who are your dream coworkers? Think about both of those. What problems are you great at solving? For me, it's definitely helping people take information and make it learnable. So think about what yours might be. And then how do you solve them? For me, it's a lot of analysis and design. I'm not sure what that would be for you, but you want to think about that and articulate it, because when I am hiring people, I'm looking for people who can show me they have some kind of process and some kind of thoughtful approach to the work they're doing. So if you can talk about these 4 things in your LinkedIn profile, then you're going to be ahead of most people who are just listing off tasks that they can do. Okay, next slide. So I think I have a second. Just for the sake of time, because I want to make sure Sydney has enough time. If you look at my LinkedIn profile, I think you'll see the things that I'm talking about. But basically how I've set it up is I have a tagline that says exactly what I do, right? And then as you go through, it gives a little bit of how I work and who I want to be working with. It gives that elevator pitch. Then for keyword sake, because I want to come up in every single job search when people are looking for a consultant to hire, I list then I do list some of the tasks I do. So I list like e-learning and stuff like that. And then the last part I do, which wouldn't necessarily make sense for you, but I list a number of the industries I've worked with. So aviation, healthcare, stuff like that. But the thing for you to think about is, what is the person who I want to find me, the recruiter I want to find me, what are they looking for? And those keywords should be in your LinkedIn profile. So for me, e-learning, healthcare, job task analysis, those things will come up. For you, I'm not sure what they would be, but you should write them down somewhere and then make sure they're in your LinkedIn profile, because that's how, when people type in the search bar and start looking for someone to hire into that role, you're going to come up that way. Okay, so next slide. Okay, so this is just the recap. I know that was a lot and that was really fast, but a lot of it is going to be in your workbook and it'll be on this recording, obviously, so you can go back. But just remember, it all starts with that job description. It starts by looking at the keywords and the key needs that job specifically has and that company specifically has. Then it's about speaking to their needs, to the needs of every business, and making sure you can address those needs. And then the last one is being really thoughtful about how you curate your brand and how you tell your story on social media. Specifically, we're talking LinkedIn, but if you have an Instagram that's public and you're using it specifically as a professional, then you're going to do these things there as well. Okay. And I think there's just 2 more slides. So this is my best advice to you as you move forward, is to stop thinking like a job seeker and start thinking like talent, but not a diva, right? So don't be a jerk, but you want to recognize that even though you're coming out of school, that you feel inexperienced, you are not. You have studied that topic for 4 years. You've potentially had internships. You might have had real work experience, and they are looking to fill a need that they have, and you just might be that need. So don't go in feeling like, again, you're an interrogation, like Terri Lynn said. It's not interrogation. It's a two-way conversation, and you should make sure that you want to be working there and reading those job descriptions to see if it's a job you actually want, just as much as you should be prepared to answer their questions. And that's just really important, because so many times as a hiring manager, I would get people who just typed in anything, curriculum, anything instructional designer. And when they got to talk to you, or when they turned in their resume, it was easy to count them out because it was very obvious they didn't actually care or want to be doing that work. And so I want you to go in remembering you're valuable. You should not take anything that's like, if you have a bad feeling about a company, don't take the job. And remember to ask questions that will help you get clarity, and not just, give your resume over and that's the end. You signed on for them. So yeah, so that's my my 3 big things and my 1 big tip. And hopefully you'll find some value in that in the workbook.
Thank you so much, Nicole. That was really great. Now we will move on to Sydney's presentation, which is about Flexjobs, which are probably going to be around for a while because of our current situation, but I'll let her get more into that.
And just as a quick introduction, Sydney Work is a skilled career coach at Flexjobs, the award-winning site for remote flexible scheduling and freelance job listings. She has professional experience in higher education, advising college students, meeting and event management, and public relations and advertising. She has a Master of Education degree specializing in college student personnel, and a Bachelor's of Science degree in journalism focused on strategic communications and public relations. Sydney can offer advice and answer questions on all things related to job and internship searches, including writing resumes and cover letters, networking, personal branding, using social media, tips for remote work, career changes, and graduate school experiences. Welcome, Sydney.
Awesome, thank you. I'm excited to be here. And really quick, I am actually going to pop into the chat because I was feverishly nodding my head yes to everything Nicole was saying about being on LinkedIn. And actually myself and another career coach just did a really awesome LinkedIn webinar about using LinkedIn for your job search. So I just popped that in the chat to check out later. But yes, if you're not on it, I agree, go make a profile today. But yeah, so I'm here to talk a little bit more about the future of the work environment and the workforce, and how the shift to flexible and remote work is moving, and just some current trends, and then a little bit about what we do at Flexjobs. So if you want to go ahead and go to the next slide. All right, so like I just said, we'll talk about Flexjobs. If you haven't heard of us, I'll just give you an overview of who we are and what we do, what the current trends are for the remote and flexible job environment, how to actually find those jobs and avoid scams, and then best practices for strong remote job applications. So next slide. All right, so Flexjobs is a job search. It's mostly a job board, but it's a membership site. We've actually been around since 2007. So Sarah Sutton, who's the CEO and founder of Flexjobs, was really kind of leading the way on this future of work before COVID happened. So it's been really awesome for us just to kind of be a leader and an educator in helping a lot of companies make this shift and pivot towards flexible and remote work. Everything on our site is a vetted job, so there are no scams. We have a whole team of job researchers where their primary function is researching jobs, vetting jobs, making sure they're legitimate, making sure that they're not a scam, and at least 3 different people touch a job before it even gets posted on our site. So when you're using Flexjobs, you are getting legitimate work. You're not getting scams, unlike some other job boards where anybody can post on there. That is one of the reasons why it is a paid membership site. So we do offer membership levels that you can sign up for from 1 week to 1 year. And it's really because we want you as the job seeker to be the main client, right? We don't want companies or outside people being the people who are paying us to promote their jobs, because we want to actually help job seekers find the flexible and remote work that works best for them. And so that's kind of our focus. And we have vetted over 55,000 companies to this day. And almost every single day, we have about 20 to 25,000 flexible and remote jobs listed on our site. So we're a very large job board with a lot of incredible and amazing job opportunities. But beyond that, if you want to go to the next slide, we do offer a lot more than just the job search, service. We want it to be a really well-rounded experience for you as a job seeker. So like I just mentioned, we do different events and webinars. So right now we have a webinar series that is actually free to anyone. So you don't have to be a Flexjobs member to attend those. So that's an awesome service that we do, just educating people about everything Terri, Lynn, and Nicole were talking about: resumes, cover letters, how to sift through a job description, find those keywords. And then some things that we do have just for Flexjobs members is actually weekly career coaching Q&As, where myself or another career coach on the team, Mondays and Wednesdays, they're 30 minutes, and it's just an opportunity for anyone to pop in on Zoom and say, hey, here's this job search question I have. What should I do about this situation? And we'll answer them, and we're there every week. So we're really trying to maximize that education piece. Additionally, we have articles. You can see kind of on the right side there, there's a kind of snapshot of our articles. Same thing, top 20 skills to have on your resume, or the top technology tools you may want to use, or how to talk about getting furloughed or laid off in an interview, different things like that. So we're publishing articles every single day about various job tips. Those are, again, a free thing that you can view even if you're not a Flexjobs member. And then professional skills tests. This is something that you do have to be a member to access, but we have over 170 skills tests, which is a great way. Like Nicole was talking about, maybe you think customer service is one of your top strengths or skills. Well, we have a customer service skills test, and you can actually, get tested, see where you rank. And then if you get, I think, a 70% or above, it will then show up on your Flexjobs profile if you're a member, and employers can see that as well. So this is just a really great way to kind of test and assess where you are in different areas. And if you thought you were really great at something and then do poorly on the test, it gives you an idea of where you might need that extra work. So beyond just the jobs and the job postings, we have a whole plethora of other benefits that you get access to as a Flexjobs member. Like I said, really trying to help build you as a well-rounded job seeker and help educate you on things that you may not be familiar with. So next slide. All right, so now I'm going to briefly talk about just some current trends when it comes to remote work. So you can see here in May, when COVID was first, starting to happen, it was a 7% increase in remote job listings over April. And then it continued to go up 10%, 20%. I think the 12% in August was people hoping that we were going to be able to get back to normal soon. And then that didn't happen. And then we have seen since last year a 50% increase in remote job seekers, just with a lot of companies shifting towards this because of the pandemic. So it's only continued to increase. And we think that that's going to continue to be a trend as this year moves forward into next year as well. Next slide, please. So some other surveys we've done, you can see here that the expected growth rate of full-time remote work over the next 5 years is going to double from 30% to 65%. Now that we've had the pandemic, obviously it's been, a really unfortunate situation that none of us have expected or wanted to experience. We can see that there are some strengths in being able to work and collaborate remotely, that you can, in fact, work from home and still be productive and still be successful. So we're just predicting that this is going to continue to grow and continue to be a trend. And remote work is viewed more favorably. More people have now had the opportunity to work from home and have realized, I actually really like this. So you can see here, 61% of workers now view it more positively, and say that 50% of their employers do as well. So it's definitely something that people are starting to like a little bit more and just be more open and receptive to, that they may not have been otherwise. Next slide. And just another kind of stat surveying employees who want to continue working remotely after the pandemic. And then you see here, 35% want a hybrid model. So that's another trend that we're seeing, is maybe some companies aren't wanting to go fully remote, but maybe there's an option where 2 days a week you work remote, and then the other days a week you work in the office. One great company who just unveiled a new plan is HubSpot. And they came out with like a 3-pronged model where you could either choose to be a full-time in the office employee and have a dedicated workspace. You could be a hybrid person where you have a shared working space where you can come into the office sometimes and then work from home sometimes, but you don't have your own physical office, or you could be a fully remote employee. So I think that's going to be probably the trend we see the most, is companies offering that kind of hybrid flexibility model, because I think there are some people who still like going in the office and value going in person. So I don't think that it's going to be completely all 100% remote, but offering a little bit more flexibility and letting you as the employee kind of choose what works best in your situation. And this slide, I want to talk just a bit more about what it means to have flexibility. So Flexjobs isn't just about remote work, but it's about adding flexibility to your schedule. So maybe you're someone who wants flexible hours. Maybe, you know, you don't like working 9 to 5 and you want to be able to work starting at noon, or you work better in the evening, so you want to work evening hours or on the weekends. That could be a component of finding a flexible job and finding, you know, a company that will allow you to do that. Maybe you want something where it's freelance and you're not an employee, you don't need, you know, the benefits, so you're just kind of doing it as you want to take on projects. Maybe you want full-time, part-time, 100% remote, partial remote. So flexibility can kind of, you know, be a lot of different ways that just work best for you. And a lot of times when we're job searching, we're just thinking about, you know, what's the job, what's the work that I want to be doing, and you're so focused on getting that job that you're not really thinking about how working works best for you, right? So I'm someone who some days I'm really productive first thing in the morning and I start my day at 7:30, and then other days I'm a little bit more tired and need to sleep in and start my day slower, and I don't start until 9 or 9:30. And I have a company that allows me to do that, and I have that flexibility in my schedule. Many of my coworkers are parents and they're having to deal with remote learning right now. So being able to have a flexible schedule where they can sign out in the middle of the day, help their kids with remote learning, and then go back to work works best for them. But maybe you're someone who just wants to do 8 to 5 in the office and you're not expected to do anything outside of those hours. That's something that you really need to kind of pinpoint and figure out for yourself of, how do I want to work best, and what is most important to me when it comes to my work schedule. Like, the work that you're doing is important, but how that work is being done and when it's being done is also an important factor to consider. Next slide. So here are some of the top career fields right now, just based on our current data for flexible and remote jobs. Some that you would imagine, like customer service, computer and IT, and sales, but others like education and training and marketing. I think there was a previous kind of misconception that if you were working from home or working remotely, it was only customer service or call center type jobs. And that may have been the case, you know, previously, but we are seeing really almost no job field is off limits. On our website, like I said, there's almost 25,000 jobs posted every single day. And with that shift in, you know, remote e-learning for students, there's remote teaching jobs, which you may not have thought was possible before. So there really are kind of more categories than you would have thought. Medical and health, you know, with telehealth increasing, we're seeing doctors, RNs, coding specialists, patient care specialists. Those are all examples of jobs that we're seeing on our site. So just to kind of give you an idea of what career fields are out there that you may not have thought of before. Next slide. And then here are some of the most common job titles. So things like consultant, engineer, account manager, case manager, sales, nurse, just to kind of give you an idea of what is out there and what you may not have considered before. And then if you go on the next slide, I actually just did a quick test just to kind of see a current snapshot of what were some full-time entry-level positions that are on our site. So you can see these are all from the last couple of days. Recruiting coordinator, technical analyst, financial services professional, and social media coordinator. So various jobs are out there that you can do working remote, and you can see all of these are full-time, 100% remote jobs. So there just are a lot of options out there that you may not have thought of, or you may not have realized were options. But if you're someone who has realized you like working from home, there's probably a job out there that you can do. I do want to pinpoint really quick on this slide, if you can just go back. If you look at the bottom one, it has that little flag that says India. So another misconception that a lot of people don't realize is with remote jobs, there are some companies that have specific location requirements. So all of the other three have the American flag, which means that they can be done from anywhere within the United States. Sometimes it will have the American flag and it will list states. It might say Illinois, Texas, Nevada, Arizona. If you see that, that means that it's only able to hire in those states. And that's simply just for tax and labor law purposes. It doesn't necessarily mean they need you to come in the office or, be physically in an office, but companies have to go through tax and labor laws just to kind of set up employment for employees. And so some companies just haven't or don't want to be able to hire everywhere. So if you are looking for a remote job, make sure that you're still putting in your specific location where you live, just to make sure that you're getting a job that could actually hire you. So the last one, if you don't live in India, you probably wouldn't be able to get hired for it. So just a little side note there. All right, next slide. So again, based on our current data, here are some of the top companies hiring for flexible jobs. United Health Group is a huge one. They have tons of jobs on our website. K-12, again, with that remote learning piece, they're always hiring. CVS, Amazon, Salesforce. And what I would recommend is if you are able to, and one of these companies looks appealing to you, I do recommend starting first with a company who's already established and knows how to do remote work well, right? So a lot of people have had maybe a negative experience with remote work in the pandemic because their companies were simply just not set up for remote work. They didn't have the systems, they didn't have the tools and technology. And so it's been kind of a miserable experience for some people. But some companies who are already, set up, they've been doing this since before the pandemic. My company is a great example. We're 100% remote, and we've been that way since 2007. My onboarding process was very smooth. There were lots of systems and tools and technology in place to make sure that I had a great experience. And we have a ton of different communication platforms, so I'm able to, communicate with my coworkers versus a company who maybe is just now starting out remote. It might be a little bit more shaky or a bit more of a learning curve. So definitely something to look at and see how long has this company been doing remote work? Are they already established? How many of their employees are remote? Because that can also kind of impact your experience a little bit. Next slide. All right, so now I'm going to talk a little bit about how to actually find these companies and jobs for remote and flexible work. Next slide. So obviously Flexjobs, we're a great resource. We have top 100 companies in remote jobs. We have tons of articles about the companies and who's doing remote work really well. So we're a great place to start, but also going directly to company pages. A company page where they list the job description, even if the job is not remote, in the job description, usually you can say if it says, flexible schedule or this job is completed during these business hours in this time zone, or, we have a unlimited PTO policy or flexible work policy. That's going to be a great place for you to kind of figure out, what does this company offer if it's not just 100% remote work, but what are those other flexible options? Some companies offer, community service hours where you can take time off to do some service, or learning days where you can take paid time off to do professional development and learning. So it's not just about the remote piece, but what is that flexibility piece? Unlimited PTO is a big trend right now for a lot of companies, giving people the option to, be able to take off whenever they need to. Obviously, within reason, you're not taking off every single day, but that's going to be another great place just to see what types of flexibility are offered. And then thinking of any, friends, former coworkers, colleagues, vendors that maybe you've seen have a flexible schedule, or, you're like, hey, how do you have every other Friday off? Or how do you only work half days on this day? Utilizing your network and looking on LinkedIn as well is another great place to kind of search for people who you might have connections with that you can ask about their experience and how that flexible work, has impacted them. Next slide. All right, so when it comes to finding the job listings, obviously, again, Flexjobs, I would be remiss if I didn't recommend our services. And with our services, like I said before, that you're getting those pre-screened jobs. They're all legitimate, but there are a few other smaller specialty job search sites. Skill Crush is one of them, Proven, Ryan Robinson. One that's not on here is remote.co. That is actually Flexjobs' sister site. It's where I found my job at Flexjobs. So remote.co is a little bit smaller than Flexjobs. It's free. And then there's less job postings there. There's about 700 posted every day, and they're all 100% remote, pretty much work from anywhere type jobs. So if you wanted to get a free version first before joining Flexjobs, remote.co would be a great place to start. Industry, and thank you, Chris, industry and professional associations. In previous roles, I've worked in events, and I worked with a lot of meeting and event planning groups and associations. There is a website called asae.com That is the Association for Association Executives. They have a job board there, and on their job board, there's a place to filter for remote jobs. Many other associations, if you're in a medical association or learning and development or whatever it may be, whatever your career field or interest is, usually they have a place where they list remote jobs as well. And then just like I mentioned before, asking your friends, asking your family, professional network, how you can find, these jobs. I will say that, Indeed, Glassdoor, all those other sites, you can look there as well. But a perk of using Flexjobs is that we took all of the work out for you of having to search and having to filter for flexible and remote, because that's all that we have on our website. So just to give you a little tidbit there. Next slide. Keywords to use. Remote, virtual, and telecommute are going to be the most popular search terms if you're actually trying to find a work from home job. But you can see there's other ones here like distributed team, home-based, telework. Those are other examples that we've seen. I think remote or virtual tends to be the top two, and then telecommute after that. So if this is something that you're interested in, those are going to be the types of keywords you're going to want to use. So you would do just like, teacher remote job or virtual teaching job or something like that, and that will help you populate results. Next slide. And then obviously avoiding scams. So scams and scammers are out there. They're very creative. You can see down here where we have fake gecareers.com, but then the real one is ge.com/careers. So making sure that you're looking at that URL, ensuring that it's actually the company's website. If they're IMing you, like Facebook message, or they're texting you, that's usually a sign of a scam. If there's, not really a job description, there's like one sentence that just says hiring now or hiring immediately, that's usually a sign of a scam. Encourage you to look on Glassdoor. That's always a great place to start and make sure that they're on there. Better Business Bureau is another great place to look. And then again, on Flexjobs, we actually have a whole tab dedicated to researching companies where we have links to their social media accounts, a profile about them, and everything like that. So if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And just trust your instincts. Usually people who end up, falling for a scam felt somewhere along the way that there was something not right or something a little weird. So just make sure that you are doing your due diligence, especially with having that flexibility, having a remote job. A lot of scammers know that that's really attractive to people and are really creative in trying to get people. So just a few tips there to make sure that you are looking out and making sure that you're getting something that's legitimate. Next slide. All right, so really quickly, I'm just going to kind of echo a little bit that Nicole and Terri Lynn were talking about earlier of not only positioning yourself for regular jobs, but for flexible jobs as well. So if you go to the next slide, thinking about the skills that you already have, these are usually things that are written in that job description, written in verbal communication skills, time and task management, growth mindset, being comfortable with technology and troubleshooting. These are important in regular jobs, but even more important for remote jobs. You're not in a physical office, you're not, seeing your coworkers. And so making sure that you're able to communicate effectively, utilize technology effectively are just going to be very important and essential for you to be an effective remote worker. So thinking about all of these, and if you don't have, experience in some of these, or you struggle with some of these areas, taking the time to do some of that upskilling and working a little bit harder to, improve these skills so that you're set up for success. Next slide. And then skills you can easily build. So like we talked about already, technology is super important, especially in remote work. Typically in that job description, you will see listed there, proficiency in Microsoft OneDrive or proficiency in Google Drive. And if you see that and you don't have, experience in that, there is tons of free learning out there. YouTube is a great place to start. A lot of these companies like Zoom have free tutorials where you can just download it and, kind of play through it. There's step-by-step user guides. So if you see, Skype or something is frequently mentioned in all the job descriptions that you're looking at, and you don't have experience with it, make sure that you're taking the time to practice it, get experience with it, and really upskill yourself. Typically, when it comes to remote work, that is one of the biggest concerns that employers have, is that you're not going to be able to use technology effectively. They're going to have to train you. You're going to struggle with that. And they want to make sure that, you're coming in right away and you're able to be successful using these tools. A lot of times, these types of tools, there won't really be much training when you get that job. For example, my company uses Sococo, which is a virtual office. And I had never used that before, but before I started, I took time to, look it up, see what it was about, kind of do a little bit of research on my own. And when I first started, my manager wasn't like, here's how to use the Coco. It was kind of just like, figure it out. So making sure that you're able to kind of proactively and independently research any technology that you're not already familiar with and get comfortable with it. Next slide. And then adding that to your resume. So for remote jobs, it helps if you can kind of point out to an employer that you already either have remote experience or that you would be an effective remote worker. So for example, right now, if you have been working from home because of COVID, or you're doing coursework virtually because of COVID, or anything, like, you all are very lucky because pretty much everyone's getting experience in remote work right now. That's something that you can put on your resume, in a bullet that says, worked remotely since March 2020 due to COVID-19 pandemic. Or if you're taking online coursework, you can write in parentheses like virtual instruction, anything like that, that will kind of show that you've had a little bit of remote work experience. You can put it in a job title if you've already had a full-time job, 100% remote or partial remote. If you've ever, done an internship or had a job where sometimes you were working from home and everyone else was in the office, that counts as remote work, even if it was only, once or twice. So adding that into your resume. And then if you don't have that experience, showing those remote skills. If you look at the very bottom, I know it's tiny, but on this resume, all of the resumes that we do for our clients, we typically add a technology skills section to add all of those tools that you're familiar with, to show employers right up front and right away that you are comfortable with technology and you have the tools to be successful. Sometimes Microsoft Office is listed in the job description. If it is, go ahead and add it. If not, you don't really need to add it, like Nicole mentioned earlier. But highlighting those technology skills and highlighting any remote work that you've done, just to kind of show that employer right off the bat that you'll be an effective remote worker. Next slide. All right, so just kind of recapping is, consider what you want in work. Is it 100% remote? Is it partial remote? Is it freelance? Is it flexible hours? Really deciding that for yourself. Figure out what those skills are that you already have or don't have. Update your application materials and profiles, and then interact with your network, and then apply for remote jobs. And LinkedIn, especially in normal job searches, yes, and then in remote job searches, even more important, because that's where all that online networking is going to happen. So get on LinkedIn and watch that webinar that I put in the chat, because it has lots of great tips there for you as well. And then if you go on the last slide, you will see here that we do have a 50% off membership for you using the code FLEX. And that is good until Monday. And then later this week, we will have another Black Friday promo that you'll be able to find on our website. And then you can use that as well to get 50% off a Flexjobs membership. And maybe if you're asking for, Thanksgiving or Christmas or birthday presents, or, the holidays are coming up, we do offer gift certificates as well. So you could also send that link, to a friend or family member and say, hey, I really want this gift certificate. And then you can also use that discount code on gift certificates and any of our coaching services that we have as well. So we do career coaching and resume reviews, in addition to all the other things that we offer. But it was great chatting with you all today, and I was trying to be cognizant of time, so sorry if I went a little fast, but hopefully you all learned something new.
Thank you, Sydney, for your insightful presentation. We'll now take a short break and share some featured videos before starting our Q&A segment. So at this time, please feel free to post your questions in the chat.
Also, for those who have not purchased their raffle tickets yet, make sure that you go on the link that I will reshare in the chat and purchase your raffle tickets so that we can do the drawing after the videos.
So I want to just jump in for a moment and say great talks from everyone. I've just posted 8 of the major takeaways from all of the 3 presentations today, and I hope you'll take a second to copy those and also the links that everyone was kind enough to post. All right.
So our first video today is from our Fuel for Thought Resilient You series, and it actually talks about what Sydney mentioned in hers too, about looking into fake jobs and making sure that we're aware of what's out there and not falling prey to them. So let me play this one first for you.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Fuel for Thought's video on spotting potentially fraudulent jobs and internships. About to make your first college to career transition? This is part 7 of our Resilient You advisory series. It's actually an excerpt from our well-received resume and interview guidebook designed for the safety of those transitioning to new jobs and internships. Be alert and prepared. Don't fall prey to scams. For the full guidebook, please email us at p4tinfo@gmail.com. Top tips. Tip number 2, signs of a fake job, internship, or recruiter. The following are signs that the job that you're applying for is fake. First is that the company rep or post promises a large salary and minimal requirements. Next, the company rep is not the department director, the hiring manager, or any identifiable member of the team that's supposed to be assigned to recruiting young professionals. Next, the company rep contacts you from a personal email rather than a professional company email. Next, the company reaches out about a position to which you never applied, which is very common now that people have profiles posted to LinkedIn and other platforms. If you never gave your information to a company, please be wary if someone from a company contacts you without any prompt from you. Next, the position is offered without talking or meeting to anyone from the company. Next, the position requires payment for a preliminary review or service of some kind. That's a red flag, definitely, that there's a scam. Next, you're asked for personal or financial details for a direct deposit form or some other paperwork before being offered a formal contract. If you see any of the above, the opportunity might be fake, even if they seem to be coming from a reliable source. Be sure to ask for help in verifying the company. Number 3, reporting suspicious reps and posts. Students, report suspicious posts or correspondence to your department and career center. If you feel uncomfortable at any point in a conversation with a rep who's on campus already and speaking with you, you may also reach out to public safety. Young professionals, report suspicious posts or correspondence to the Federal Trade Commission Consumer Information on Job Scams. The link is below. Number 4, selecting a valid internship or research opportunity. Know your rights. All employers must follow the standards outlined in the Fair Labor Standards Act, or FLSA, for any type of employee, paid or unpaid. If you need guidance on these and related career skills, please visit www.beloforthought.org or email us at p4tinfo@gmail.com for a tutorial. For additional guidelines and our young professionals job and intern checklist, we invite you to purchase our comprehensive guidebook. Here's a list of our upcoming events on November 28th, December 5th, and December 19th. You're welcome to visit our website for the additional details.
Sorry about that. I didn't know that the audio was going to be so low. Then we have one more video.
grads struggle to find the best way to land their dream job.
Kids today are told 1,000,001 different answers in how to go towards the workforce.
For recent college graduate Marina, she's getting advice from her mom, her teachers, and her peers. There's just one problem. They're all contradicting each other.
You didn't really have technology back in the day. Parents going to be a little bit stuck in their ways because they've gotten jobs, so they think it's proven.
As technology evolves, as the job market shifts, as new jobs pop up, even new industries, naturally the process for searching for those jobs and landing those jobs is going to change as well.
But for Marina's mom, she thinks you ditch the internet and go personal.
I think that you can go in person, and I think that you should go that extra step. I don't think you should have the computer be your sole source.
While experts in the field say applying for a job is adapting to the times, some rules stay true forever. Others need an upgrade.
Most of the core ground rules of job searching are unlikely to ever change. However, the ways that we approach those rules are ever evolving.
Ever evolving. So keep in mind, anyone out there who's applying for a job, that digital footprint, it plays a huge role in how people see you and know you before you even get to applying for jobs. So clean up the Instagram, the Twitter, the Facebook accounts. It's also a great idea to set up a LinkedIn. And the company tells me that the best thing you can do for yourself on LinkedIn is include a picture in your profile. People are way more likely, employers are way more likely to give you a look, Michael, if you have that photo.
Okay, so now we will start our Q&A portion. I'm also going to add a couple of other links in the chat with other videos. Give me a moment, and then we'll start the Q&A. Okay, so feel free to take a look at those when you get the chance, and let's get into our Q&A section. So our first question goes out to all three of you. So the first question is, what are the most reliable online platforms to use to seek out internships and job opportunities? I feel like we discussed this a little bit in each of your presentations, but if you want to elaborate on like your top one or two, Nicole, do you want to start?
Sure. So I think I come to it kind of from a different space because I operate as a freelance consultant, but for me, it's just LinkedIn. Like LinkedIn is where people find me, and for what I do, that's more important than me going out to find others. When I did look for jobs, I looked on like the typical places like Indeed and stuff like that, but I did find that it was hard to get in when you didn't have any sort of connection to the person. So that's my caveat. Seems to be my favorite word today.
Sydney?
Yes, well, obviously I'm going to say Flexjobs is a really great one, just because, you know, like I said, it's all those vetted jobs, but I just have to echo with Nicole, like LinkedIn is going to be the next best place to go, because what you can do is if you start to research and find, you know, that dream company that you really want to look at, especially if it's like an internship or something, is then on LinkedIn, you can actually see what employees work there. And you can either find a recruiter, a hiring manager, or someone doing the job that you want to be doing. And you can actually message them on LinkedIn and just say, you know, hey, I'm really interested in the work you're doing. Do you have a few minutes to tell me more about what it is that you do? You're not going to message right away asking for that job or internship. You're first going to message to establish that connection, ask that person to tell you a bit about themselves. And then once the conversation goes well, that connection can then either point you in the right direction of job or internship opportunities, pass your name along, or even then refer you to other companies they know that are hiring. So utilizing that LinkedIn, not just to look for jobs, but researching companies and making those connections as well.
Terri?
Yeah, I agree. LinkedIn has got so many filters that you can use in order to search for people or companies. And and it's user friendly, and people know how to get on there. And I think it really works best that way. But I totally agree. You want to establish a relationship first before you're asking for any kind of a help.
I think that's important. Yeah. And I recently started using LinkedIn a lot more because I used to always just go to Indeed, go to Glassdoor, but now I have all these other websites that I can start looking into, especially with me graduating next semester. I'm going to need to find a job. So thank you. Our next question is for Nicole. How much information is too much information to post on our public profiles on LinkedIn?
That's a great question. Well, for me, I always find that I have trouble sticking to the character limit. But I would say, you know, it's about curating, again, your brand. So what do you want the employer to say about you, and what is it you want to put out to the world? Even though you're a multifaceted person, even though you've had lots of different experiences, you don't necessarily want to tell everyone everything. Think about what is attractive to your, for me, it's my ideal client. For you, it's your ideal employer, perhaps, right? So like, what's attractive to them? That's the stuff you put in there, because we're in an attention-starved, right, society. So they're looking for the things they want to see. They're going to ignore everything else anyway. So focus on the things that you think are really your values, and then the things that will attract those ideal employers.
Thank you.
And so our next question goes to Sydney, which is, are there entry-level opportunities for flexible jobs? Is preliminary training aside from one's college degree typically required?
Sure, yes. So all of those jobs I showed you earlier on that snapshot page were all entry-level positions. So that's really great. On Flexjobs, we have tons of filters as well. So you can sift by entry-level, mid-level, high-level, executive. You can filter by part-time, full-time. So we do have tons of entry-level positions. While most of our positions are professional level, I will say that we also have a few that actually only require a high school diploma. Those ones are going to be more of like the call center, customer support, tech support type roles, but maybe you're just looking for part-time extra, work while you're a full-time college student, or a little bit of extra money for the holidays. I think we just published an article recently about, 10 different companies like Williams-Sonoma and Uncommon Goods that are hiring a bunch of seasonal holiday workers remotely. So we do even have roles that only require a high school diploma and not even a bachelor's degree yet. And typically most of them don't require any other sort of, certification or education beyond that. But you will see sometimes it will say, expected to have a certain reliable internet connection, or established typing speed, or anything that could be beneficial to your remote work when it comes to technology. Like you might have to have a headset or something like that. Sometimes those requirements are there, but usually just your general education and experience is enough.
Thank you.
And a quick question that just came into the chat.
Yes.
How do you suggest that we build remote experience if we're not already working remotely?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the best way to do that is, like I mentioned earlier, if you can even think of one time or two times where you worked on a group project or something like that, and you weren't all in the same space, like that is remote work experience. Otherwise, I would say just making sure that you're staying up to date with all of those technology tools, making sure that obviously we're all on Zoom right now, so I assume that means everyone knows how to use it, but researching the top technology tools. I can pop an article in the chat about that as well. So that you can just practice those skills. And then, when you have your cover letter and when you are in your interview, you can talk about that. Like, I haven't worked full-time remotely before, but I have experience using this technology. I'm really productive, working independently, and highlight some of those skills as well, and just showing that you're a proactive learner.
That would be helpful. Thank you.
Yes, of course.
And to wrap up our Q&A, our final question goes out to Terri Lynn, which is, given the times, viable internships and training opportunities have been limited due to the pandemic, and many graduating students feel the disadvantage of having insufficient experience to apply for available job opportunities. What advice can you offer to these young professionals?
Well, I think, as I mentioned when I spoke, is that let's look back and see what you've done throughout your life per se. So, any jobs that you've had part-time while you're in school, or any committees, or a capstone is a great place where you can get a lot of experience, especially in transferable skills that you didn't have to have a job to get the skill. And I think that's what we want to underline, is that you don't get all of your skills from an actual job. You don't have to be paid to get a skill. You need to be able to demonstrate that you have the skill and be able to talk about the skill. So I think we sometimes have to look back a little bit more. What have I been doing? And then as you say, well, how did I do it? And now suddenly you say, well, yeah, I have been doing a lot of customer service. I've been very much in support, or I have been doing a lot of project management. And it's all in how you talk about it and how you define it and how you relate it to the job you're applying to.
That's a great point. Thank you.
So I'd like to invite Chris to come on and give our closing remarks, as well as announce the raffle winners for our 2 raffles for today.
Okay, guys, so very exciting. We have 2 great raffle prizes. The first one is for New Skills Academy, offering a special Black Friday offer. We already have a special negotiation with New Skills Academy. They offer those who visit our website 87% off of available courses. So we've arranged for those of you who are either about to graduate college but want a short training of some kind to be able to have an edge over other competitive job hunters. That's a great way to earn. For those of you who are between high school and college and feel you need a professional certification, or you're transitioning to a different job market and you want a professional certification, New Skills Academy offers a lot of what they call lightning packages and bundles. And so it's 87% off all of those. However, today we are giving one away for free. Aha. And then the other raffle prize is for the star-studded Mistletoe Gala, which is being held on December 5th in the evening. And it's going to be a virtual event. It's usually the biggest event of the season. And we love to promote that event. And Father Christosson was very kind enough to give us 1 ticket to raffle off for this year's virtual event. So we'll put the event information in the chat after the raffle. So 9 people got their raffles, and I'm putting it in our special raffle drawing basket, which I got compliment of my friend Dami Bogdanos, who's a fellow educator and had us speak at her school for Career Day last year, right around this time last year, actually. So I'm going to shake it up. All right. Okay, and I'm not looking, so you see I'm not looking, right? The first winner is Regina Lamb. Regina, are you on? I have to email Regina Lamb. So Regina Lamb won the free New Skills Academy course bundle. So I'm going to have to email her. And then let's see. Brenna Richter. Brenna, are you here? Brenna is the winner of the Mistletoe Gala ticket. So congratulations to our raffle prize winners. Okay. So we also have a few other events. Actually, Alexandra, if you could please take a moment to post the Mistletoe Gala link for those who are interested. The tickets are $25. Then there's also a, oh, we have a third raffle prize. I forgot, sorry, the Dark Horse raffle prize. Our friends at Mission Control negotiated also an 80% off discount for one of their prominent course bundles that's worth $300. So I'm going to post the information for Productivity and Accomplishment online course, which is a $300 value. So we have like one more raffle. Let's see. Jackie Astacio, you're here. I saw you. Jackie, you are the winner of the Productivity and Accomplishment online course bundle. All right, so now moving on to our remaining announcements. There is a Small Business Saturday. So as a nod to all those who participated with us and supported our seminars, we want to thank you and acknowledge you on November 28th for Small Business Saturdays, because each of you is part of a small business group and you didn't have to do all of this. You're all speaking with us for free. A lot of you are speaking with us behind the scenes as well as up front at our seminars. And, you know, I can't thank you enough. So we're going to do a special tribute on Small Business Saturday. We're also going to include all of the small businesses who have supported us despite the difficulties of the pandemic and contributed to our seminars, our symposiums, our publications, whatever you could this year was so appreciated. Like $20 this year is worth $1 million in years that everyone was prospering. So not a million, it's not exactly, I'm just not a math major, but I appreciate it, it's my heart, okay? Then December 5th, we have a coffee day fundraiser at Martha's Country Bakery. So we're going to post more information about that in our upcoming newsletter. However, our friends at Martha's Country Bakery have remained open throughout the entire pandemic and served coffee to keep all the Greeks in New York caffeinated during the pandemic. This is a heroic thing. So we're going to run a fundraiser with them from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. on December 5th, right in time for the Mistletoe Gala, which is going to start at 8 p.m. So you'll be caffeinated before the gala. See? We worked it out. Then December 19th is our virtual launch party and holiday celebration. So again, in recognition of all those who participated, we invite you to join us online. We'll send the Zoom link out to those who register online. We're launching a new and improved website, compliments of Marinos Dakis, who is online with us today as well. Okay, so we're taking the next few weeks to perfect it so that it will be perfectly ready for everyone to use. And we hope that you'll enjoy the new courses, the other available partnerships and evaluation programs that we have available for you. We're continuing to build with Roost Advisors, Mission Control, Giraffe Consulting, and so many others to be able to provide you the best possible services, reliable services. And I hope, as Maggie Stavranidis said at our last event, with the video that we prepared about fake jobs and internship posts, we didn't prepare it to scare you, but yes, you should be a little apprehensive and aware, alert of the things that are out there, and just stay safe. Stay safe, and if you have questions, you can go to your campus advisors or you can come to us, just a simple email, and we can help vet and make sure that you're going to a reliable source and not just somebody who's, you know, mocking the system, wasting your time, etc. Okay, Alexandra and Andy, I pass the mic back to you.
Thank you, Chris. Just to wrap up, I'd like to thank our speakers, Terri, Nicole, and Sydney, for being with us today and for sharing such great information. And these topics really just went so well together, and the transition was just so lucid. So thank you. Look out for more opportunities that are going to come in the spring from Fuel for Thought. We're working on more seminar ideas. If you have any suggestions for what you want to see, feel free to email us at p4tinfo@gmail.com. But other than that, we wish you all a happy Thanksgiving and a Merry Christmas or whatever holiday that you celebrate. And we look forward to seeing you again in the spring. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.